You're probably wondering why my title of my video is this way. And you're probably curious on why it would even be titled such a thing. I want you to stay tuned, hear what I gotta say. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. As you guys know and aware of, we went back to the dyno recently to make some horsepower. We had a good pull at the dyno. We took the car for a ride, street drove it, had a lot of fun with it, but we knew something was wrong and we knew it just wasn't enough, but it never really is. What I think is going on and what I know is going on is the fact that I got a medium-sized turbo for this 408 Windsor build. I got a turbo kit that's just not efficient enough to run the horsepower. I don't know if you can hear it over top of the actual engine, but my motor's, I'm at 2,500 RPM, and I can hear my turbo literally mid-spool. So that tells me one of two things. I'm choked up pretty bad. It makes a killer little street car as far as response is concerned. But at the top, when I'm shifting and I'm going through my RPMs, it's out of steam. Not the motor, the turbo kit. I don't really take it high RPMs because I know that. I miscalculated when I was building the system, and I said to myself, well, let's get the motor broken, let's get things fixed, let's get the pugs out, and then we'll go back and we'll fix what's bad. So how are we gonna fix that? Because as it sits right now, I can't make any more horsepower in its current build. So stay tuned, follow me back to the shop, and let's talk about some stuff. But before we hit the shop, let's go make a little bit of a hit. Let's send it. Let me get strapped up. Telling you that On3 turbo and On3 products and all that stuff don't work for this stuff? Absolutely not. Obviously it works, makes good horsepower, made 666 wheels, 688 torque at like 4,600 RPM. But I know that motor can make more horsepower, and I know that at the top of the dyno chart, when we were tuning, the car literally was going fat because it was just backed up. If you follow some of my live streams, I actually kind of spilled the beans a little bit on the live stream on Sundays on a couple of things that I thought it might be. I thought it might be the little crossover thing might be starting to fall apart, the little flex coupler, because that'll actually choke up your crossover. But to be honest with you, this motor makes a lot of power and a lot of steam, so that's probably not even the case. So here lies the solution that we're gonna do. We had a custom turbo kit built specifically for the 363 that's going in the black car. And this kit is a few years old and has very little use on it, but it's seen its time already with the 363 when it was in the white car originally. So you're probably saying, well, why isn't the 363 still in the white car? Well, because one of the Moroso oil pan pickup tubes decided to come off the TIG weld, off the tab, and broke. And I got no oil pressure, and by the time we tore the motor apart, we figured we would just rebuild it, you know what I mean? Of course, it never ends, right? I mean, it never ends. It's always something. So the nice thing about that kit is literally built to this car. As you can see, Ken over at Big Dog Fab actually has a plate welded into my frame where the turbo mounts to the crossover. You can see here that the plate actually The crossover, it's a very nice custom kit. It's a little dirty right now, but the crossover bolts the back of the plate, and then the turbo comes, this is a T4 flange, comes down here and bolts right back on top of it. So you can see that each pipe feeds up to the turbo individually from each header. And these headers are very, very nice, stainless, 1 3/4 inch, but they're built for an 8.2 deck 363. Or just an 8.2 deck motor. So what has to happen now? Basically, I got to take this kit back to Ken, and Ken told me that he is going to go ahead and he's going to custom fit. He's going to cut the flanges that he welded on here, unfortunately. And since the 351 has a higher deck, we're going to go ahead and custom fit these headers, that crossover, to fit the white car now. And the nice thing about when he did put that plate on there is we have a reference point here. Because we know this fits here, we know the turbo fits here, we know the downpipe fits off the turbo. None of that stuff will change. So the only thing he really has to do is custom fit his headers, and then he's going to have to change the pipe a little bit to be a little bit wider to meet the headers on the flange. One more thing I wanted to show you that's real nice is we actually have the big 66mm precision wastegate. So while we're on the subject of wastegates, I wanted to come over here and show you this. I actually modified this wastegate. You can't really tell it too much from here, but I modified this wastegate to fit a precision 46mm wastegate. So what's that mean is that could be one of the smaller issues that we have, on top of the fact that I just don't think the turbo design is efficient enough for this motor. But that's why we put the 66mm on the other bigger turbo kit, because it'll have plenty of air, plenty of wastegate, and pretty much the only thing we'll be choked up on, if there's anything, is the turbo eventually. So we're definitely not going to have any problems with making boost. We're definitely not going to have any boost creep. This motor's just going to go ahead and fly, because it's going to make as much air as it wants, and it's going to eat that turbo. We got to the point to where we made a lot of horsepower, but it just wasn't enough, and it wasn't efficient. That's the main thing I'm looking for. So in closing, I think what's going to happen is this car makes 666, 688 with that turbo kit. I would be kind of disappointed if I actually put all that work into putting another turbo kit on it. I didn't net at least another 100 horsepower with the possibility of more. So how much horsepower can a 408, 410, whatever you want to call it, how much can that actually make? Who knows? If you haven't had a chance to check out some of the other videos in my cards, make sure you click on these cards that are popping up on my screen of the first startup of the car, of the dyno session that we had with the car recently, and one with the motor build. So make sure you check out the card. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you hit that like and subscribe below. I appreciate everybody for the time. We have a club membership. If you enjoy my content and you want to support the club, it hits the join button below. I appreciate everybody for everything they do. See you soon.